And I know I read the comment section. We're an SEC show that loves the Pac-12 and loves the Mountain West, and all we do is root for Notre Dame.
You're a homer. That's the first part.
Coach, I totally get it. And every day somebody will say, oh, you love the SEC. You hate the SEC. You love the Pac-12. You hate the Pac-12. Can I just tell you, every single P4 Media Day, what was the one thing everybody talked about?
I hate the SEC.
Every single one of them, including some folks in the SEC. It's remarkable to me how much jealousy, how much, and I don't even think jealousy is too strong of a word. We've just been sitting here, not that you care about this, but Jake cuts all of our video. I generally source a lot of our video and our audio. Jake cuts it. We're like sitting here listening to the video.
It's
and we're like, dude,
F you, F this, the SEC blows. We're
right?
like, dude, come on.
I mean, it is remarkable to me how many people are talking about the fact, well, the SEC, well, we'll just schedule like the SEC does. Okay, do that, please. I am amazed for everybody who says the SEC sucks. Well, if the SEC sucks, then why is everybody talking about them? If the SEC is so overrated, why is everybody talking about it? Why is Rhett Lashley spending half his press conference today talking about it? Why is Kirk Cignetti talking about the SEC in Ohio State? Can't even pronounce Ohio State correctly.
Yeah, maybe learn how to speak.
It is pretty amazing to me.
I win. Google me.
It is pretty amazing to me that a guy who says, I win, Google me, goes on a rant about Ohio State. And Kirk Cignetti drives me crazy. And it's this kind of just veiled stupidity. Because what is it? You watch this clip of Captain Ohio State, and you tell me, is Kirk Cignetti just uninformed and just wildly unintelligent? Or is he living in a fantasy land with his head up his ass because he has no idea just how mediocre he was last year?
Here's the bottom line, okay? We picked up an extra home game, and we play 9 conference games. You know, the 2 best conferences in college football, any football guy that's objective will tell you, is the Big Ten and the SEC, all right? 12 of the 16 SEC teams play 3 G5 or an FCS game. 12 of those teams play 36 games, 29 G5 games, and 7 FCS games, and 1 less conference game. All right? So we figured we'd just adopt SEC scheduling philosophy. You know, some people don't like it. I'm more focused in on those 9 conference games. You know, not only do we want to play 9 conference games, okay, and have the 4-4 championship, the playoff format, okay? We want to have play-in games to decide who plays in those playoffs. You know, championship weekend, let's play 3 versus 6 and 4 versus 5. You want to decide that on the field, make sure everybody's strength of schedule is what it needs to be? Let's make everybody play 9 conference games, and on championship weekend, 3 will play 6, 4 will play 5. And there's still room for another at-large in that format. And why shouldn't the Big Ten have 4 AQs? Because Ohio State actually finished 4th in the conference at the end of the season. Indiana and Penn State were tied for 2nd. They won the tiebreaker. Ohio State won the national championship. Okay?
It's Ohio State, you dick.
Shut the fuck up, Donnie.
Second of all, are you really? Oh, look, Ohio State finished 4th in a conference. Okay.
Bro.
Can I just explain? This guy is complaining about strength of schedule. Of all the blowhards in the Big Ten,
And there's a lot of blowhards.
who should not be complaining about strength of schedule,
Google me.
it's Kirk Cignetti. I'll remind you, he just said Ohio State finished 4th in the Big Ten last year. Is that the same team who absolutely road graded you on Thanksgiving weekend when you showed up at the shoe and absolutely got crushed by Ohio State? You mean that Ohio State that finished 4th in the Big Ten? Ohio State? Is that the because or are you trying to say Cuyahoga State? Because they were on your schedule last year too. You know, Florida International in Western Illinois. Oh, but that was last year, Marty. He didn't make the schedule. We're just trying to figure it out now. Okay, you're right. So 2025.
So get your facts straight.
2025 is going to be significantly better scheduling at Indiana because Ohio State Signetti has decided that he's going to write the best schedule ever because he would only want to play the toughest games because we all have 3 versus 6 and 4 versus 5. And let's make sure that strength of schedule is where it's supposed to be.
That's
Captain.
not what we're about.
Ohio State. Okay. Well, then how do you explain starting your schedule, Captain, with Old Dominion, Kennesaw State, and Indiana State? Holy cow. Hand them the trophy now.
Man.
Oh, and if that weren't bad enough, then we got to throw in UCLA, Maryland, and Purdue to end the season. Toughest game on that schedule? Probably Oregon, right? You got to go to Eugene October 11th, and I cannot wait to see the Ducks crap on your face because, frankly, this makes Indiana so unlikable.
Yeah.
So unlikable.
Oh, I win. Google me.
You want to sit here and talk about how strength of schedule is a problem?
Google me.
Bro, you're rolling out with Old Dominion, Kennesaw State. Anybody know where Kennesaw State is? Neither does Kurt
Don't
Signetti.
talk crap about my team.
But I'm sure he Googled it. And Indiana State. And then you want to talk about, oh, we had Ohio State finish 4th in the conference last year. Anybody want to tell me where Maryland and UCLA and Purdue finished? Has Purdue won a game this decade?
Because this team is just hot ass.
Strength of schedule. What strength of schedule? How did you do at the stadium and during the playoffs? Ooh, Ohio State finished 4th. League's great. Okay, so the 4th best team in the Big Ten, allegedly, who, you know, that same Ohio State team that went on to win the single best national championship we've ever seen, Ohio State. Oh, you mean the Ohio State coach?
Ohio State.
Ohio State. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
This is what I can't stand.
It's got to be one of the worst takes I've ever heard.
Revisionist history at its finest.
I don't know where this guy gets off saying that somehow, you know, the SEC strength of schedule is worse than the Big Ten's. I don't know how you make that case.
And then I go and I'm like, dude, if you're going to rip the Big Ten and the SEC and the scheduling thing, if you're the Big Ten ripping the SEC, okay.
Because what did you really do? And I think this is important to know before you make the point. What did he do in the clip? He said anybody who's not a buffoon, any logical football person knows the Big Ten and the SEC are the best conferences in college football. And then here, let me roll out an absolute trash take about strength of play difficult opponents, even though we never play difficult opponents.
It drives me crazy.
And listen, I'm all here for, hey, it's your media day. You're gonna, you know, take your 10 minutes at the podium and light the world on fire. I'm good with it, but at least come up with a good take. Like, this is one of the most dumb takes I've heard because, again, there's no way to substantiate that you play a more difficult schedule than the SEC.
Because I'm just going to roll this back out here.
Like, good luck, dude.
I'm just going to roll this back out here. The SEC only has 2 teams outside the top 50 in Massey rating over the last 10 years. Right? Okay. Monty, that's just one. Okay, well, how about 2? Right? If you look at SOR over the last 10 years, the SEC only has 2 teams outside the top 50. And you look at SOR, strength of record, by the way, strength of record is an incredible barometer, right? And how do you deny this? You have 8 teams outside the top 10 in strength of record. You have 7 teams outside the top 50 in Massey in the Big Ten. And frankly, you look at this, the Big 12 is only 1 team behind you in the strength of record. The Big Ten, the arrogance of the Big Ten to believe that you have the depth that the SEC has is crazy to me.
Well, and I want to peel that back a little bit too, because I think it's a good point. Is it that they're arrogant, or is it that they feel the need to say outlandish things because they know that this is probably one of the few opportunities they're going to get to talk about these topics without it being a game week or whatever, like, cause my thing is this is clearly a maybe not officially a joint front, if you will, by the ACC and the Big Ten, in my opinion. But we're going to get to Rhett Lashley momentarily. But if you listen to Signetti and Lashley and other people in the conversation, it's very clear that these conferences want as many AQs as they can get so that they don't have to beat the SEC on the football field. That's what this is.
Yeah.
You're saying, hey, we want as Kurt, the savior of Indiana, put it, we want the 4-4 college playoff format thing to be the deal, right? We don't want to see a highest state in the regular season. We just want our AQ.
You want 4 automatic qualifiers.
And you want that because you don't want to have to play the SEC in a heads-up game that you're in because you're Indiana and you didn't have the strength of record or strength of schedule to justify being the AQ. You weren't able to win the conference. You weren't able to do that. And again, I have no problem saying it. I don't buy for a second that Indiana's capable of winning the Big Ten. You're not better than Ohio State. You're not better than
most people have Penn State as the best team in the league right now.
Yeah, everyone's got Penn State. I think they got 35 first place votes in the preseason poll. So everyone's got Penn State as number 1, which is absolutely ridiculous to me. But either way, Penn State and Ohio State, you're not beating those two. You're definitely not beating Oregon.
And we're going to find out about Oregon very early in the season in October.
In all this speculation about Dante Moore, is he a Heisman guy or is he a bust? Like, the guy can play football, dude. Like, they're going to be fine. Like, I just watch these guys get up on the dais, and every single year we got to sit here on the program and talk about how someone made an idiot of themselves because they were sitting here trying to make a point that you can't make factually.
And then I just go back to Darth Sankey. And what he said about strength of schedule.
Whether people want to agree with it or not, that's up to them. We can go through the analytics and show the rigor of our schedule is different than anyone else's, period. And we had a learning session in September at the CFP about strength of schedule. And strength of schedule isn't everything, but it is an important factor. I remember very clearly one of the messages was if you play the top-ranked team and the 130th ranked team, those two games average out to 65.5. If you play 65 and 66, they average out to 65.5. And so the advisor said, you're just as well playing 65 and 66. Here's my problem. But for maybe 2 teams in a year, we don't have 65 or 66, and everybody else has a group.
How is that incorrect? And so then I say, okay, well, what say you, Rhett Lashley at SMU?
Again, I don't think it's up for discussion. It should be 16. More is better. Now, I don't think you got to go crazy over that because it is football, but we saw last year what the playoff can do. On-campus games, fantastic. Everything it does for our game, more exposure, more access, creates more fan bases and more people involved in the season throughout the year, more conferences. When it comes to our league, it should be talked about more. It should be easy. I just shed some light. I mean, there's only been 3 leagues win a national championship that have teams in their league right now since 1990. All the teams that have won a national championships in 1990 are either in the ACC, the SEC, or the Big Ten. Since I mentioned in the last 15 years, we're tied for the second most championships with 3 with the Big Ten. I don't know why that's not talked about more. We have national brands. We've won championships. The revenue is almost double who's fourth. We have our own network, the competition, the investment. I just think it speaks for itself. And so most people want to see things decided on the field, so let's let it happen that way. I don't think there's any question that if it stayed at 12, we're every year a multi-bid league. I mean, Miami should have been last year at 10-2. There's no question they were one of the top 12 teams in America.
Okay, so I don't even know where to begin with how not informed this take is. I thought what you did in the past doesn't matter anymore for what's happening in the playoff today. Now, you're telling me in the ACC, you want 16. But wait, the Big Ten wants 12 and 4 automatic qualifiers. So one perspective from Ohio State says, hey, the SEC sucks. We're staying at 12. Rhett Lashley, who got absolutely humiliated in the playoff last year, now says he wants 16 and the SEC is top heavy. Like, quote, the SEC has had the same 6 schools win the championship since 1964. Okay, well, now I know that we're not supposed to deal in fact, right? But I don't see how we don't call this out. Is one of the stupidest takes I think I've ever heard. Well, why have they had, even if that were in fact the barometer or the bar or whatever, why are we ripping Georgia and Alabama for being dynasties? Because that's a huge part of why they've won these championships. But what it says is that you're not willing to have a conversation about the real quality of what the college football playoff is. You're not willing, by any stretch of the imagination, to talk about the fact that Georgia, Alabama, and LSU won, because it's just 6 teams, 2019 LSU, 2020 Alabama, 21 and 22 Georgia. That's called domination. Before that, it was Clemson, right? Then before that, it was Alabama, and then Clemson, and then Alabama, and then Florida State, and then in 2013, Florida State, right? Like, that's 2013, 12 years ago. But since 1964, because they've had dynasties and they've dominated for long stretches. But you conveniently leave that out.
Why is it that Florida State's in the ACC and not the SEC to this very day?
Why did Bobby Bowden say they chose the ACC instead of going to the SEC when they flipped affiliations?
Oh, that's right. Because it's easier to win a natty through the ACC than it is the SEC.
That's exactly what Bobby Bowden said. The path to the championship was far easier in the ACC through the SEC.
So this is not new. This argument is not new or somehow, just now starting. This argument has been retreaded like a million times. And the difference is when dudes who are 1 year into the league and not taking a distribution start talking about what a league should do or what the system should be, I think we've reached a point where I just want to say, listen, bro, nobody would be listening to you if you weren't in the ACC, if you hadn't bought your way in. And the problem is the very format that you're sitting here ripping and criticizing and trashing on is the same format that saw you get in over a 10-win Miami team. So
yeah.
I just think it's a really foolish, short-sighted, and frankly uneducated take out of Rhett. And I would double down on that and say out of, Mr. Ohio State, Kurt Nettie.
And then I look at Wisconsin, who by all accounts has one of the most difficult schedules in the Big Ten this year. Miami of Ohio, Middle Tennessee State. At Alabama, Maryland, at Michigan, Iowa, Ohio State, at Oregon, Washington, at Indiana, Illinois, Minnesota.
Yeah, it's tough.
And then you go to Tony Petitti, who says 6-3 in the Big Ten. I would argue that's a great record. If you're Wisconsin and you win 6 games, Miami of Ohio, Middle Tennessee State, you're not beating Alabama. Maryland, Michigan, Iowa, you're not probably going to win that game. Although it's at Camp Randall, so let's give them 5. Ohio State's a loss. Oregon's a loss. Washington's a loss. You'll probably lose at Indiana, right? Illinois at home should be a win. That's 6. And then Minnesota at Minnesota should be a win for 7. So the most difficult schedule in the league is 7-5. And that's supposedly a great record. 6-3 would be unbelievable in conference. No, it would not. 6-3 is not a good record in this conference. If you're let's say Penn State, look at Penn State's schedule. Nevada, Florida International, Villanova. Those are their and I know we only play tough games here. Oregon at UCLA, Northwestern, at Iowa, at Ohio State, versus home for Indiana, at Michigan State, Nebraska, at Rutgers. Is that a difficult schedule? That's not a difficult schedule. That's not a difficult schedule at all. What about Ohio State? Texas. Oh my God, wait. The reigning national champions are going to open with Texas, Grambling, Ohio, at Washington, Minnesota, at Illinois, at Wisconsin, Penn State, at Purdue, UCLA, Rutgers, at Michigan. They're tough games on that schedule. Texas, who most, including me, think is the best team in the country. At Washington's a tough game. At Illinois is a tough game. I think at Camp Randall's always a tough game. Penn State's a tough game. And then that's really it from there forward. Purdue, UCLA, Rutgers, and Michigan are not. They've got 5 really difficult games at Ohio State. And then you look at, like I said, you start looking at Indiana and you're like, Old Dominion, Kennesaw State, Indiana State, Illinois. Those are their first 4 games. All of them are at home. And then you go to Iowa, to Oregon, which I think is your first real road test. Going to your first test of the season is early October at Autzen. Michigan State, you come back home for Michigan State, UCLA at Maryland, then it's Penn State, Wisconsin at Purdue. You've got 2 games that are going to be difficult if you are Indiana. And because you're the best team in the conference, according to Kurt Cignetti. Just Google him. He wins every game he plays. At Oregon and at Penn State. Those are your 2 difficult games. And you want to sit here and tell me that the Big Ten is deep and
I win. Google me.
It's better than the SEC. And
Come on, bro.
You're out of your mind. Never mind that when you look at the top of the stack and you start looking at the 2025 strength of schedule, and you look at the rankings and you say, okay, Wisconsin has, I think, one of the most difficult schedules on paper. But then South Carolina, Arkansas, Florida, Mississippi, Kentucky, Oklahoma, and LSU. That's 3 through 9. Then Syracuse, TCU, then Alabama, Georgia, Vanderbilt, then UCLA, Purdue, Michigan State, Iowa, then Auburn, Texas, and Ole Miss. Texas A&M is 23rd, sandwiched in between West Virginia. So how are you making an argument that you should have an expanded playoff, Rhett, based on strength of schedule? And Kirk Cignetti, how are you making an argument you should not have an expanded college football playoff based on strength of schedule? Because somebody needs to explain it to me. Because I'm a Notre Dame fan. We're getting in whether you want us there or not. But I have the joy and the great latitude of not being a fan of either conference. And I'm sitting here telling you, without a doubt, the ACC is the worst college football conference of the Power 4.
Well, that's the issue, isn't it?
And I don't even think it's questionable that the Big Ten is not better than the SEC. The SEC is the best conference in college football.
And here's the problem with the ACC part of it is that the ACC has national championships in recent memory.
Well, because but Kirk Cignetti and Rhett Lashley are saying that the SEC is top heavy. Then what on earth is the Big Ten and the ACC?
Let me expand on that. What is college football then? Like the whole sport is top heavy.
Right.
Like each conference is what? 2 teams, 3 teams?
I think who has a legitimate chance in the Big Ten? I think it's Ohio State and Penn State. That's it. And I'm not even that certain with Drew Aller at quarterback. Stranger things have happened. But with Drew Aller at quarterback, I'm not even certain that Penn State can do that. And obviously, we're starting a youngster at quarterback for Ohio State. Ohio State. We're starting a youngster at quarterback at Ohio State.
Unbelievers.
Right? So, but if I go to the SEC and I say, okay, that conference, they don't play anybody. It's not like they play 9 P4 teams. And I look at the SEC, I say to myself, okay, there's no question that Alabama's going to contend for this league. What's the biggest hurdle in the way of Alabama winning the SEC? Well, it might be Florida State, Wisconsin, Georgia, Vanderbilt, Missouri, Tennessee, South Carolina, LSU, and Oklahoma. As well as Auburn in the Iron Bowl to end their season.
Yeah, that schedule sucks, dude. That's got nothing on the Big Ten, obviously.
Okay, well, then you got to look at Georgia. What's the biggest hurdle for Georgia? Well, it's not Marshall or Austin Peay, but it certainly is at Tennessee. Here's how Georgia opens up. That team that doesn't play anybody because the SEC's top heavy. At Tennessee, Alabama, Kentucky, at Auburn, Ole Miss, Florida, at Mississippi State, which they then bookend with Texas, Charlotte, and Georgia Tech. Would you rather have that schedule or Indiana's schedule? Would you rather have that schedule or Michigan's schedule? Would you rather have that schedule or just about any other schedule in the Big Ten outside of Wisco? And I think I might make the argument that I'd rather have Wisconsin's schedule because I don't want Georgia's schedule. But it's what it is, man. I'm here for it. In point blank, now I feel like I haven't even exercised all the demons, but I want to hear from you guys on this today. I want your voice to be heard. Do you believe this idea that the Big Ten is a deeper conference and a better conference and that they should get 4 automatic bids to the college football playoff?
Do you believe?
Because I don't believe that in any way, shape, or form. Now, if I'm Tony Petitti, I 100% understand why he is arguing for the 12-game or 12-team playoff. Because if you give the SEC a 5-11 format, they're going to dominate it. They're going to dominate it.
Right.
And I think Tony Petitti is well aware that he's got a 2-team league. And until Oregon shows us what they are or what they're not, he's got a 2-team league. Because that performance, and it's the exact same thing I say about Indiana. You were a fraud. Oregon was a fraud last year. Indiana was a fraud last year. Penn State was a fraud last year. Michigan, well, you're a bunch of cheating scumbags. Never mind.
The only thing I would say, I don't disagree that to go 13-0 and then get bounced like that was embarrassing.
Horrendous.
I think that, part of what I would like to see change in the CFP is the scheduling. Like we can't have, 2 and 3 weeks off, for college kids and think that we're going to get the best possible games and, these teams are going to have a fair shake. And, again, it's no excuses for Oregon. It's inexcusable the way you showed up to play Ohio State, but
I'm sorry. To play.
It's inexcusable the way you showed up to play Ohio State.
You need to get that drop. You need to, and I think here's Kirk Cignetti mispronouncing Ohio State.
Here's the bottom line, okay? We picked up an extra home game, and we play 9 conference games. The 2 best conferences in college football, any football guy that's objective will tell you, is the Big Ten and the SEC, all right? 12 of the 16 SEC teams play 3 G5 or an FCS game. 12 of those teams play 36 games, 29 G5 games, and 7 FCS games, and 1 less conference game. All right? So we figure we'd just adopt SEC scheduling philosophy. Some people don't like it. I'm more focused in on those 9 conference games. Not only do we want to play 9 conference games, okay, and have the 4-4 championship, the playoff format, okay? We want to have play-in games to decide who plays in those playoffs. Championship weekend, let's play 3 versus 6 and 4 versus 5. You want to decide that on the field, make sure everybody's strength of schedule is what it needs to be? Let's make everybody play 9 conference games, and on championship weekend, 3 will play 6, 4 will play 5. And there's still room for another at-large in that format. And why shouldn't the Big Ten have 4 AQs? Because Ohio State actually finished 4th in the conference at the end of the season.
Ohio State.
Ohio State.
My guy. Ohio State finished 4th in the conference.
Ohio State.
It's remarkable to me. The SEC, you guys understand the SEC has a mandate of 9 P4 teams. So are you really playing a weaker schedule because you're not playing 9 conference games? Oh, that's right. You play 9 P4s. You play 9 P4s. Yeah. Kirk Signetti and
Ohio State.
Ohio State.
Ohio State.
Ohio State. Shut up. It's fine. I am fired up over it today. I truly am. Wow, look at that. But Monty upgraded to the members only content.
Yeah.
Make sure you send Jakey Two Shakes a DM on Insta Snapface Instagram.
You have a deal.
SLC Jake, he'll get you into the group. But Monty also gifted 5.
Nice.
Thank you, But Monty. Chewy Gonzalez for $2. Can you guys just beat the one game? Chewy, I'm not asking for too much. Thanks for getting swept by the Brewers. Now the Cubs and the Brewers, they're tied for first. You guys couldn't even just one game? Just a single game. Maybe a single inning.
No,
I guess not. Thanks, Dodgers. Yeah, you still suck.
no.
$2. Red Ass Tuesday, sponsored by Ohio State Boop Guys.
Ohio State.
The Ohio State Boot Guys.
Ohio State.
Chewy for 5 more. Monte, don't forget, Michigan plays the University of Feds in court. Yes, they do.
The University of Feds.
Speaking of which, Big Ten Commissioner Tony Petitti deflects when he was asked about Michigan and their cheating scandal to open Big Ten Media Days. You would expect nothing but a big deflection, though, and then ripping the NCAA.
Well, the first part, I'm going to confirm that we did submit a letter. It's not uncommon in proceedings for a conference office to weigh in on. So I'm not going to address what the contents of the letter we sent are. And because it's an ongoing process, I don't think it's appropriate for me to comment about whether it's enough or not while there are individuals deliberating. I don't think that's the right thing to do in the process. Look, I will say, having gone through this, one thing to point out is I think when you think about the CSC and the discipline and what we're trying to build with the new entity, having an enforcement mechanism that just is faster is a priority, one that reacts more quickly. This is a system we have now. It's been in place for a long time. It functions the way it was built. But I do think there's this consensus among our colleagues that whatever we're building for the enforcement piece that's going to live inside the CSC, that's got to be there. It's just difficult to be still talking about this, almost on 2 seasons after.
Cry me a river, dude.
Wait. I'm sorry. So, Tony, do you believe that the punishment...
Tony?
Tone. And I love all the Michigan fans. He's defending Michigan. No, he's not. No, he's defending the Big Ten. And there's no way to get around that. I don't know what he just said, but he said it takes too long for them to drop the hammer on Michigan. I'm still waiting for that hammer to drop there, Marty.
I just try to stand strong.
No further punishment coming. Cheeseburgers for kids saved
He
us.
was a lone wolf, Monty.
Lone Wolf. ConnorStallionsLLC.com. Okay. The Natural. Signetti definitely looks like he has some serious issues. He looks like a guy who fell and hit his head, and now he can't say, oh.
Ohio State.
Ohio State?
Ohio State.
Like he just can't say, oh. Oh. Too much. Probably too much. We sent a letter. That always sounds so weak. Yeah, we sent a letter to Ohio State.
Ohio State.
That's never going to get old. That is never going to get old. John Blackwelder, how are you, my guy? I would think that Tony Petitti makes enough money not to have to get his hair cut at Supercuts. Wow. Wow. So it is going to be that kind of show. We just had a Tony Petitti.
Bro.
But,
Dude. Bro went to Supercuts to get a number 2 done.
I mean, Toot Pants says the Ohio State.
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
Ohio State.
If Tony Petitti's haircut sucks, what about Kirk Signetti?
Ohio State.
Ohio State.
Dude.
Jesse Crum, incoming Feinbaum rant against Tony Petitti
the way. Seriously.
Jesse, it is on the way. The Natural says Oregon had no answer for Optimus Prime number 4. Well, there you go. Patrick Roybal. Hello, Patrick. But Monty, you're supposed to be a Gloria Navarez simp. Oh, Gloria. Yeah, don't forget she pays us. What's with all this other conference talk? Mountain West today, tomorrow, and the rest of the month. I mean, it's fine. It's fine. Chris George. Hello, Chris. Do you want to know why the SEC isn't demanding 4 auto bids? Because they know that 99% of the time they'll earn that every year. I agree. $100 P. Every year they will earn it. Big Lubbock. Pew, pew. How hot is that seat? Do you want to be Joey McGuire? Yes. Do you want to be Joey McGuire's pants pocket with how hot that seat is? How many games does Joey McGuire have to win to be like, yeah, this was a good season?
Well, let's use the Big Ten, scheduling strategy.
Oh, so he's got to win 4 games.
I'm
being a jerk. If you're
over
Texas Tech,
10, dude.
If you're Texas Tech with the money they spent, it just on the softball pitcher alone, can she be the water boy? Like, does the $1 million softball pitcher have the ability to can we do unsportsmanlike or unnecessary roughness, the movie where Kathy Ireland was kicking field goals? Can she come in and just throw me like a drop ball for a field goal? I mean, that's a softball term, a drop. Anyway.
Right, drop ball.
Right. Here's Joey's schedule.
Joey.
We start throwing tortillas August 30th against Arkansas Pine Bluff. Kent State, the Oregon State.
I thought we were going a different direction there.
And then we go week 4 at Jita on September 20th, which is probably going to be the game of the week and a national TV game.